So wherever you travel, wherever you take accommodation outside of your home, then you have to show your identity, and also like application to different governmental related things. Then in every action of those times, then we have to show our identity card.
Those questions of identity will soon come to the fore when national census forms are handed out to Ms. Tetu Wei and her estimated 60 million fellow Myanmar citizens.
The census about to be launched in Myanmar touches on a very sensitive theme at the heart of a country made up of a patchwork of ethnic groups and plagued for decades by conflict between the state and various regional militias. As the government tries to build a sense of nationhood and to secure the first lasting peace since independence, the focus in the census on people's origins and backgrounds threatens to open old wounds rather than heal them.
People opposed to the exercise say it uses discredited military-era definitions of ethnicity and could undermine a delicate peace process aimed at bringing the first nationwide ceasefire for more than 60 years.
So if we see that many people in the country have a perception of what this country is like, this census will challenge that deeply. And so if certain groups find out that other groups are larger or smaller than they imagined, this will have an impact. And so while that's inevitable in any census, there are certain fault lines that have been recently exposed, very deep fault lines in this country. And they will be all the more serious just prior to an election. And so the census results will be coming out at this very critical moment and could cause conflict or other forms of tension to be exacerbated.
Activists say the census's model of 135 ethnic groups contains false divisions between people who live in adjacent areas and may be separated by a river or forest or other geographical feature, but are in fact of the same ethnicity. That approach is seen as part of an old junta-era policy of divide and rule by making the minority ethnic groups who accounted for more than 30% of the population in a disputed 1983 census seem smaller than they actually are relative to the country's Burman majority. This map shows the complexity of a country where groups such as the Shan, Karen and Arakanese together accounted for millions of people, even by the military's calculations 3 decades ago. Konja is an activist from the northern state of Kachin, which borders China, is rich in gold, jade and timber, and is the site of a long-running on-off conflict between local fighters and the Myanmar government.
How they gonna collect in the war zone, where still we have war? And another thing is 12% of total population of Kachin are for this moment they are living in the IDP camp. So most of the IDP people are living in outside the government control area. How census collection will be done in this area, we are not clear yet.
The census also throws up a deeper problem of whether people are going to answer the questions honestly. Some citizens, especially those of mixed heritage, may choose to label themselves as Burman in order to avoid the real and perceived discrimination they see as aimed at members of minority groups by both the government and companies.
Some of the scenario that I've seen in some of my working environment is like, who is the boss in these ethnic groups? And then they prefer like similar ethnicity to work in their own company.
Supporters of the census say the government is aware of the criticisms and is responding to them. After a meeting between senior officials and activists, the state-run New Light of Myanmar newspaper ran a statement on March the 1st in which the authorities promised further consultation and admitted for the first time that the 135 ethnic group model might not be correct. But people such as Ms. Tetu Wei are dismayed by the continued emphasis on defining difference in a country where, as elsewhere in the world, people of various creeds and ethnicities have mingled, married, and forged multiple identities.
If we want both, why can't we have it mixed? I'm sure that I'm not a pure ethnic group anymore, and we're a kind of mix, but why don't we combine some of our cultures that we could live together?
The looming census is a reminder that for all of the top-level political change in Myanmar, this is a state full of internal tensions. and whose very legitimacy is still contested by some. Michael Peel, Financial Times, Yangon.